And to get you ready for the draft, ESPN will have a special primetime edition of the Matchup Show, 8 o'clock on ESPN, hosted by this man, Sal Paolantonio, and he joins me now on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. As tonight, you're getting everybody ready, geeked up for the draft. Sal Paolantonio, welcome back to the Sports Bash, my friend.
Michael, I'm not sure if I'm ready for prime time. What do you think?
Sal, you know, the draft for Eagles fans was in Philadelphia a couple of years ago. Then it was in Dallas. Now it's in Nashville. They're making this thing bigger and better, including putting you on primetime.
Well, that's nice of you to say. We'll see how we do tonight. I tell you what, Nashville's got to be – I mean, I loved it in Philly. Who did? It was a great scene ever, right? Without a doubt. Art Museum steps. But Nashville's a pretty sweet spot to go to.
Yeah, no doubt. I was in Nashville for a bowl game a bunch of years ago. They did a great job. I'm looking forward to that. So
you know what would be rowdy if we had it on the AC Boardwalk?
Yeah, right out in front of Boardwalk Hall there. They got that the Kennedy Plaza out there. We could do it right up from the steps of where they did Miss America is the draft. So
have all the cameras offshore on boats and stuff.
There we go. Yeah, I like it. Have the guys walk out on the beach like a beach concert. The draft coming, you guys are going to be talking about today. What are some of in your mind, and some of the things you guys are going to talk about on the show? What are some of the key storylines heading into this year's draft?
Well, the reason why this show was started, an NFL matchup draft show, is because we take NFL concepts, offensive and defensively, and we see where players are going to fit. So you're not just going to get the measurables and the highlights. What we try to do is project the skill set into NFL concepts and schemes. And so that makes the show different. And so, we take some of the big names, but we'll pepper in some of the lesser names to make sure that people understand that this show is about how the players will project to the NFL level. That's the key. We do start the show with Kyler Murray. And, he's basically Patrick Mahomes 2.0. And I'd be shocked if Arizona doesn't take him. Arizona needs a next-level kind of player like Kyler Murray to put them on the map. And even though they have Josh Rosen, I think that, they didn't hire Cliff Kingsbury to coach Nick Bosa. They hired him to coach Kyler Murray. I'd be shocked if they don't take him, and they should take him.
Yeah, and I saw, Bowen and Cosell doing the show with you?
Yes, Matt Bowen. He's just finishing his rookie year on the show. Did a tremendous job this year. And, of course, Greg Cosell. Been around for 40 years. He's the godfather of the show. He's the one that started it all. It's his second year on the set with us. My 18th year hosting the show, Mike Gill. My 18th year.
18 years.
That's crazy. How many years we've been together? We've been together for a long time, too. I love coming on your show. You do a great job. Whenever I'm driving down to Ocean City or Avalon, I'm listening to your show.
Well, we appreciate that, and we'll be watching tonight, 8 o'clock, when you guys talk draft, because we're getting ready for the draft. You just mentioned Kyler Murray. How about Nick Bosa? If the Cardinals didn't, hire a new coach, is Bosa the guy that has everybody on set all excited? Because there's a lot of people that thought he was the slam dunk number one pick.
Well, listen, here's the thing about Nick Bosa, and one of the things that we talk about in the show, and we will have another primetime draft special show next week, so this is part one. But the key thing of what's happening in the NFL now is you got to be able to rush the passer up the middle of the A and B gaps. We've seen over and over again, San Diego comes in with Bosa, and they do that NASCAR outside rushing lanes, pass rush, and they can't get to Tom Brady. And that's basically where the league is. It's so important to be able to rush the passer up the middle. That's why it's pretty devastating news that Fletcher Cox is not going to be around till training camp. I thought Fletcher Cox with Malik Jackson was going to be the ticket, but a foot injury on a defensive tackle, not ready until training camp, that's pretty severe.
Yep, actually have that right on my list in front of me here that he confirmed that he's aiming to get back maybe for training camp. And he got hurt in that divisional round, which says that, that thing's still lingering around. And could get him off to a slow start. There was a lot of talk, too, with Carson Wentz. He said that he's not fully healed, and he's not clear. He said it's still getting there. Is this a surprising timeline and revelation?
I think it is, Mike. I think it is. Remember, Doug Peterson said in December, it's a 3-month healing process. We're now into month 4, Mike, into month 4. So that's a major question mark. Anybody who knows anything about sports injuries knows that back injury is the most difficult to predict, diagnose, and heal, especially in a sport like football that's violent and requires a lot of physical contact in the midsection. So on a quarterback, just look at what happened with Romo. Never know. And Nick Foles is not walking through that door, Mike Gill. He's just not.
No, but they did finally get the deal done. He signed that 1-year deal with Nate Sudfeld. What do you know about Sudfeld and their feeling?
Hold on there, brother.
I'm not comparing them.
Wait. That wasn't the segue I was looking for. That was.
Well,
I thought you were going to say, yeah, but they did sign him. They did sign that 1-year deal with Peyton Manning. So.
No, I mean, but how much? I mean, if Wentz was Wentz was asked yesterday about, are you tired of getting asked about your durability? If he was to go out a couple of games, do the Eagles trust Sudfeld, or is he kind of there because veteran guys don't want to come here and kind of be in that situation?
Well, they had an opportunity to get Case Keenum, and they didn't. So, I mean, they clearly don't want anybody looking over Carson's shoulder. And Nate Sudfeld is not. And they clearly believe that Carson Wentz is going to be healthy. But to me, it's a show-me kind of situation, honestly. And people call me a homer with the Eagles, and I like Carson Wentz a lot. And I think this team has done a great job of putting the roster together and managing injuries, and getting back to the playoffs last year was miraculous. But I'm not crazy about the way this quarterback situation's gone down, Mike Gill.
No, I know the health of Wentz is a little odd with you just mentioned it, 4 months after this injury where, they didn't even get put on injury reserve at the end of last year. They made it like, he could have possibly played, but we're just being safe. And here we are 4 months later, still not ready to go.
Good point. Very good point.
Don't forget tonight, Sal Pal, 8 o'clock. I want to get a couple quick thoughts. Jordan Howard, what do you think?
I like him. He'll be a nice addition to the running back mix. Not the complete answer, but a nice addition, a healthier Jay Ajayi.
Jay Ajayi, unsigned, by the way, still out there available. But Jordan Howard trade, he was at the Sixer game last night. Jordan Howard got a nice ovation, and so did Deshaun Jackson, who should open some things up.
My man.
He was front and center last night. The Philly fans love him.
My man, Deshaun Jackson. Now, that to me is the biggest signing for the Eagles this offseason. If they do nothing in the draft, having Deshaun Jackson back changes everything. Changes the aperture, the altitude, and the attitude on this team. Gives them a little swagger back.
I will go down this road with you here. Eagles 25, Howie Roseman well. Not suggesting a guy that they're going to take, but any feel, offense, defense, a position of need, or do you think Howie's working the phones?
Working the phones, always is. They got iced out of the Sony Michel situation last year. Pats jumped ahead of them, and they had to jump back and pick Dallas Goedert, who, in my view, good pick. Did you have to have him? Probably not. So 25, you got to have the best player available. You don't like them, you jump back. If you're in love with somebody, you try to jump up. So you got to be working the phones. You got to be willing to maneuver. You got to be quick on your feet. You got to be nimble at 25.
Would you rule out a running back if the kid from Alabama is there? Out, right?
Yes. Well, I don't think he's going to be there. Listen, if you're listening to this show right now, and I know you are because Mike Gill is popular, pay attention to this. Pay attention to this, Mike Gill. Daniel Jeremiah has his ear to what's going on with the Eagles. He and Howie Roseman talk all the time. Watch Jeremiah on NFL Network. Read him on NFL.com. He knows what he's talking about, and he is a good indicator of where players are going to go vis-a-vis what the Eagles' needs are. And Jeremiah's got Josh Jacobs in the top 15. So that tells me that he's going to be ruled out. He's not going anywhere near the Eagles at 25. The Eagles haven't picked a running back in the first round since Keith Byers.
Right.
How many coaches ago was that? That was Kotite, Rhodes, Reed, Chip Kelly, Peters. That's 5 coaches ago, 6 coaches ago. So I don't think it's going to happen. I think they'll go interior offensive or defensive line unless they really love a corner. Remember now, they started 13 different players in their secondary last year.
Yeah.
More than any other team in the league. 13. More than any other team in the league. And they gave up more plays of 40 yards or more in the passing game than any other team in the league. So secondary cannot be overlooked. And we mentioned Fletcher Cox. Don't forget about the right guard.
Yeah, Brooks.
I talked to Kelsey yesterday. I said, Jason, you could argue, Jason. I said this to him. I was interviewing him while he was sitting there. I said, you could argue that you were one drop pass away from going back to the NFC Championship game and maybe the Super Bowl. And he said, I would argue we were one right guard injury away from going back to the Super Bowl.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
He's 2 months into
Mike, the NFC's wide open, Mike.
Yeah.
NFC's wide open. I'll make you a prediction right now. It's April. Schedule's coming out tomorrow, correct?
Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock.
Eagles will go to the NFC Championship game if Carson Wentz is healthy.
Eagles, NFC Champion. I'm writing this down. We're going to cut the audio, and when we do Sal Pal Friday, late December, we're going to replay that.
Beautiful. And if I'm right, you're taking me to Dunkin' Donuts in AC. By the way, on my way into the studio at Films on Route 38 right there, they've got a Dunkin' Donuts. I stopped in, got myself a dozen donuts for the crew.
I love it. Well, we look forward to tonight's show. 8 o'clock, ESPN, a primetime NFL matchup. Sal Paolantonio, Matt Bowen, Greg Cosell to get you ready for the NFL draft. And he was kind enough to join us here on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline in the offseason. All right, pal, we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, brother.